good
Good morning,
morning.
Matt.
How are you this morning, Chloe?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I am just peachy.
Just dandy.
Just dandy. It is Friday, which is great.
That's very exciting.
People are excited. It's the end of the week. I don't know. My week ends on Thursday, which is weird. I have a 3-day work week, which is not ideal.
Yeah.
But I guess it's okay.
Yeah. I purposely smushed most of my clients into like Tuesday through Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm not saying I know that sounded like a low key humble brag there, I only work 3 days a week, but that's really the only time I'm allowed to work because the cafe that I work at isn't open on Fridays because it's in a corporate building. So people are still coming in on a voluntary basis, and they're not required to. They can still work from home.
I see.
So it's just not that busy.
So everybody's like, it's Friday. I'm sleeping.
It's Friday. I'm not going into work. I'm working from home.
It's true.
Maybe not even that.
It's really funny because I feel like I am working from home more than a lot of people with office jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a personal trainer, and it seems like very counterintuitive.
Yeah.
That I get the least movement of any of my friends.
Yeah. Are people going back to gyms yet? Are people back in gyms
have
full?
Been. I haven't been to a gym in a while myself, so I can't say. But when I was still working at HealthWorks, it was starting to pick up. I think it's starting to drop back off a little bit now.
Right.
Because the mask mandate is back in place, and a lot of people don't like that. And I think also, Boston's a big running city, so a lot of people are out running in the nice, cooler weather.
Oh man, I tell you what, Boston in the fall is perfect. It's really the only time Boston is perfect, and it only lasts for about 4 weeks. Then it's either
we get 1 month.
Yeah, you get a month
Everything
of nice.
Else is trash.
Everything else is garbage. That's our outlook today. That's where that's our baseline where we're starting today.
That's where we're starting.
But don't worry, Chloe and I are both okay.
We're okay. You know what? We're in the good part, and it's apple picking season.
It is apple picking season.
You can go pick some apples. I saw, but if anyone is not excited for all the apple picking pictures they're going to be seeing on their Instagram, don't worry. Just go to my Instagram. I haven't posted any of my pictures from this last summer yet.
Right.
So I'm going to be posting those. Oh. So it's going to still feel like it's summer. It's going to seem like I'm on vacation.
Right. And then
which is another great thing, reason about not being Insta about Instagram is that you can fool people into thinking that you're still on vacation so they won't bother you.
But Chloe, it's Insta. It's instant. It's instant gram.
I know. But I would like to enjoy the moment sometimes, It's a strange concept. I
also like that you'll post your fall apple picking pictures in the winter when everybody is holed up and being oh, it's so awful.
Yeah. I'm behind schedule on purpose.
I will say this, I don't care for apple picking. The only reason I go to apple orchards is because usually where there is apple picking, there are two things: hot apple cider, and apple cider donuts.
Yes,
those are I will stand in a line for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
to get fresh apple cider donuts.
Yeah,
there's nothing better.
Yeah, well. You're not going apple picking, you're going donut picking.
I'm going donut picking. Yeah. Yeah, like I enjoy walking in the nice, like cool fall weather through apple orchards. It's very pretty. But I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, when it's like if I'm picking apples, it's like I'm then competing with everybody else that's there, trying to
Yeah.
find a tree that hasn't been picked clean yet.
Yeah.
And then it's like I'm tall, so I have like it's my responsibility to get like the
You have
higher
to
up
get the
apples.
ones that are up there because nobody else can.
Yeah, really, I just want to pick them up off the ground.
Yeah.
But then you've got then
And
it smells like
yeah.
it smells like rotting apples
Yeah.
because I mean there are rotting apples.
And there's, wasps everywhere. It's really, there are a lot of unpleasant things about it.
Yeah, and that's the other
about it.
thing. Dave Vidala in the chat there says,
dogs aren't allowed.
allowed.
That's sad.
How are dogs not allowed apple picking? That to me is counterintuitive.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I tell you why. It's because people don't pick up after their dogs. People don't pick up their dog's poop. So people,
yeah,
they're
and
like,
they might eat some of the fermenting apples on the ground, and then you've got a drunk dog,
then you've got a drunk dog.
and they're gonna make a mess.
And I tell you what, I'm drunk enough when I go to those places. I don't need a drunk dog.
Yeah, you got to go to one that has other activities, though. Like if you really like. If you're not into apple picking and there's a group that you have friends that are like, we got to go pick some apples off trees, you got to go to one that has other activities. I think maybe it was Wilson's Orchard. I went a few years back, but they had like, they had that thing where you take the hammer and you smack it, and then the thing
I was going to say,
up.
they got the thing, you were doing the axe motion. So I was like, they got the thing where you can go and you can chop down your own apple tree.
You can chop down a cherry tree. They had apple launchers. So they had like it was
like a potato gun, but
like
for
a potato
apples.
gun. And they had like a shooting range, and you could like shoot apples at high speeds.
What?
They had some like old broken down trucks and stuff that you could like aim at.
Nice.
It was pretty cool.
Nice.
They had like a go-kart, a corn maze go-kart track.
See, I'm more into if I had to choose between apple picking and going to the pumpkin patch, I would choose a pumpkin patch over apple picking any day. Like I 100% love pumpkin patches.
Yeah.
Especially because they usually do the straw mazes and like a haunted house, and they've got hot chocolate and hot apple cider and hot apple cider donuts. And those are the two things that have to be consistent.
Of apple picking.
Without all the apple picking, but with pumpkins.
Yeah.
And you get to carry a big old, like I don't know. I love picking out a pumpkin.
You're not like struggling to like keep a bunch of apples in a bag. You just got one thing, and you hold it like a baby.
And you hold it like a baby.
Put it in the back seat, put a seatbelt over it, and you drive home.
My sister Anna, she has two little ones, Olivia, who is 3, and Franklin, who is 5 months. And they're just turned 5 months. But Olivia's grandparents on her father's side, they have a huge like animal farm, and they have like a big pumpkin patch, not a big pumpkin patch, but like a pumpkin patch like next to where their animals are.
Cool.
And what they did for Olivia is they picked out a pumpkin for her when it was like growing, and then they carved her name into the pumpkin.
The growing pumpkin?
Into the growing pumpkin. So when it expanded, like her name was on the pumpkin. And it was the most adorable thing. I'm trying to let me see if I can find a picture of it here. I don't know exactly where it is. Oh, the one picture of it doesn't matter because she's just sitting on it, but like you can see that she's like sitting on the pumpkin. And I was like, well, why wouldn't you sit on it where you could see the name of the pumpkin? But
well, it's her pumpkin.
It's her pumpkin. She knows what it says.
Claiming it by sitting on it. Yeah. Oh, the place that I went that had it was Connor's Farm.
Connor's Farm, and
That
that's
has
in.
all the go-karts and the
Okay.
apple guns and such.
I love the idea of a. Oh, and you were talking about like shooting the apples. Have you heard of pumpkin chunkin or pumpkin chunkin?
Chunkin.
I mean,
Pumpkin.
it's something that is done.
Maybe I have, but they're like the pumpkin launchers.
Yeah, but these are like huge things where they shoot these pumpkins like hundreds of feet, and it's like like a cannon slingshot. It's like it's easy to do with apples because they're small, but pumpkins are massive.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Oh man, maybe we should do that, Chloe. Maybe that should be something that
we should probably do that. We'll add that. So we got a trip to IKEA.
Trip to IKEA.
Pumpkin chunkin.
Yeah. Fall activities for Matt and Chloe.
Fall activities. We need a graphic. Make a graphic for that.
We need a graphic. I'm gonna write that down. You know who I wish was here to make graphics and basically just run our show is Mike Carr.
Mike, please come back.
Mike, this is the time of the show where we now beg Mike Carr to come back to the show.
I know
Chloe,
we didn't ask
would you like to go first?
Last week, but it wasn't because we weren't thinking about it.
Okay, hold on one second. Okay, go ahead.
It wasn't because we weren't thinking about it. It's just we had so much to do because you weren't here to help us, and we still miss you, buddy. Mm-hmm. Please come back.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna go down here. Mike, good morning. I hope you're doing well. I hope things are good down in Florida. I heard you just wrote a Christmas play, which I'm very excited about for you. But just, Mike, we miss you, man. Please come back.
Matt's not doing well with that.
I'm not doing okay. I'm not doing okay, Mike.
We need you.
Okay. And that's that segment of the show.
Mike's come back segment of the show. Moving on.
Good morning, King Senor. I know you posted that about 20 minutes ago, but I will say it now. Good morning. Thanks for watching. And yeah, if you're in the chat, say hi. We'd love to hear from you. We would love for you to become an active participant in the show.
Absolutely. No quizzes,
okay.
Just fun questions.
Yeah. So before we bring on our first guest, before we bring on our guest for the show, I've got some TikToks I want to show.
Oh my gosh, yes, please.
And since this is since we are getting kind of into fall, I think of Thanksgiving is going to be coming up here in the next couple months, where we're gonna eat some turkeys, but maybe not, because after watching this video, you might not want to. This is turkeys in tutus.
Oh my!
It's everything I hoped it would be.
This is a festive. This is a Christmas video. It's got the Nutcracker on there.
Right. I'm hoping that's not copyrighted music. I'm hoping that's not something that.
Fingers crossed. I didn't realize that domestic farm turkeys. I guess I didn't realize there were white turkeys.
Huh.
Just seems
is that
like an oversight on my part?
Yeah.
I guess I've just seen like wild turkeys so much.
There was a huge group of turkeys walked up the street in front of my house a couple weeks ago. Like it was 2 adult turkeys and like 8 baby turkeys, and it was like one parent up at the top and one parent behind, like walking these little turkeys just up the street, and we were all out watching, and the turkey at the back, once the other turkeys the other turkey just kind of like stopped and like looked at us for a while. It's like, are we gonna have a problem?
You gonna try
And
something?
we were like, no. Gracie, our husky, was like, oh, please let me play with the turkeys. Please let me play with the turkeys. But we were like, nope, because those turkeys will kick your ass.
They're so scary.
They're so scary. Oh, and real quick, we do want to share some Tom Cardy. Chloe asked me if I knew who Tom Cardy was at the beginning of the show. And usually when Chloe asks me things like that, I'm like, no, who's Tom Cardy? But I feel hip. Now that I've started on TikTok, I feel hip that
You're
I know.
a cool kid now.
I know what all the cool kids know. Tom Cardy is the genius behind the Have You Checked Your Butthole song, which is quite possibly one of the best songs of 2021.
Fine songwriting.
Fine songwriting, and this is one of his other. Songs here. So let's pull this up here, Mike. This is why we need you, is because I'm trying to do all of this by myself.
Transitions are just
My transitions the transitions for the show have just gone to the toilet. All right, here we go.
Dinner time, baby, what you gonna eat? I can whip myself up a 5-course feast. Duck pate include maybe steak tartare. Who am I kidding? I'm eating toast for dinner. Le pain brie. My toast is broken. I guess I'm having bread for dinner. Le pain non brie. My bread was in the freezer, so I guess I'm eating frozen bread. Ooh, pain c'est joli. Very bad choice. Dinner time, baby.
I could listen to that. Like, it's just.
It's a bop, you know.
It's a bop.
You just, all of his music is like that. It's like, and a lot of it has this like real 80s vibe.
Mm-hmm.
He actually does like a parody of the Ghostbusters song, but it's got this real 80s vibe with like the synth and everything. But it still feels very modern, and you're just like, yeah.
No, he's fantastic. I love his home studio. I love what he does with his videos and everything. How he, just kind of pieces it all together, and he's just very fun to listen to. Maybe
he's got an album out right now.
He's got an album out on Spotify, so maybe check that out. Who knows? Maybe we'll have him on the show one day.
Yeah.
Tom, if you're watching, feel free to come on the show anytime you want.
Come on over. Don't be
shy. All right. Well, we'll save some more TikToks for later on in the show because I love showing TikToks. But we have an amazing guest, and I feel like looking at this guest bio is like we're gonna have to maybe do a whole second show with him as well, because he does so much. And it's just, this is going to be a packed show today, friends. So I hope you're paying attention, or at least recording it so you can watch it on the replay. You don't need to. It's on YouTube. You can watch it on the replay.
Recording it.
Yeah, we're recording it for you.
But you're gonna need to rewatch.
Yeah. Absolutely. This gentleman is all the way from the UK, so it's nice and late in the day for him. He's here. He's ready to chat. Please welcome to the show, Neal Romanek. Neal, good morning or good afternoon.
Good morning, and good afternoon, Matt and Chloe.
Yeah. So how is the future? Is it good? Is the future bright today?
So far, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's raining in the future,
Okay.
and I'm gonna say it seems all right so far. But you don't know, and it could go anywhere.
It could go sideways like that.
But so I'll keep you posted.
Thank you.
But no, but this is wonderful. So you are able to see into the future.
I know,
right,
it's like,
and tell everybody back there what is going on.
Yeah, people usually
so far.
tune in to get their future news from us, from Chloe and I.
And why not?
And why not? With all the other options out there, we're as good an option as any. Like, to be honest, with the news that's out there today, I don't know. Maybe we're the smart choice.
We're the number one news source on.
Your number one news source.
In
the Boston area.
Yeah, in the Twitch Boston area.
And all of Twitch.
Yeah.
Area.
So Neal, just you're calling from the UK. Where in the UK are you today?
So I'm in London, but you'll notice I'm not speaking English. I'm speaking American. So
Can you switch? Can you switch? Can you go back?
I switch sometimes actually because my daughter was born here, so I will find myself switching occasionally so that she will understand me. This is actually a true story that I found like myself sort of when she was little talking to her and saying banana instead of banana because somewhere in my head, in the back of my head, I thought she would understand me better.
It's a British baby.
Yeah.
She would. So also I sometimes I'll do stuff like tomato. It's a slow they're just wearing me down over here.
What about the stuff? What about the real thin metal that you can comes in a roll and you can wrap up leftovers in it or make a hat out of it?
Right. That would be you might call it aluminum foil.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But here they might call it aluminium foil,
which is so much better. Like in my opinion, aluminium is the superior word.
But I think there's even a stranger word for that. They like sort of we would have like what would you call it, like saran wrap? What do you call it? What it's like,
that's the clear stuff.
Sort of the clear stuff. Here they would call that. Ready? Here they would call that cling film.
Cling film.
I kid you not. Cling film.
Cling film.
I guess that is what it does.
It does, yeah.
It's a film and it clings.
It does.
Which was also what my ex-girlfriends called me in college. Cling film.
It's like it's just kind of on you a little bit. It's like it's kind of a
yeah.
What a film.
And you just can't really get rid of it. Like it's just like it's like come on.
Like there's something on there. Maybe need a good abrasive soap. I'm here in London, but I am an American, and
you've been all over the place.
I've just been all over the place. I'm all over the place most of the time. Yeah. But I moved here about 15 years ago. So, and my mom was British, and so I have a British passport, and so I escaped here during the Bush years, and I stayed. You made the
intelligent.
My wife and I. It wasn't me, so we both came on.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes England and the U.S. kind of there's a lot of this. There's some overlap. Like you've got all the Brexit people there, that are just as bad as the Trumpers are over here. Well, maybe not just as bad, but
it's a global phenomenon.
It's a global phenomenon. Yeah,
and the English-speaking world seems to have been hit quite hard.
Real hard. Now, one thing you were telling me before the show, which is great because we like to mention it at least once a show, is where were you born? Where were you born? Like where did you grow up before you made it over here?
So, do you mean over here or over there?
Over there.
Okay,
that's what I mean.
It's what's that time shifting?
No, yeah, I get it.
Doctor Who thing we're doing. No, I was born in Texas. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
But I just keep apologizing. So and then now I say to people I'm from America, and then I say I'm so sorry. But no, I was born in Texas, but we moved when I was quite young, and because my dad was in the Air Force, so we moved around a lot. But then we settled, and I kind of grew up in Ohio, in Dayton, Ohio. So I'm a Midwesterner.
Midwest, yeah.
And so it was that very sort of growing up in 1980s, Dayton, Ohio, whole John Hughes vibe.
Classic American experience.
Yeah. And then I went to university in California, in Los Angeles, at USC Film School.
That's right, and you got into film. Looking at the bio here on your website, which is I love how you've written your bio. By the way, it's just a list of facts followed by it's like ... and then a fact, which I absolutely love. But you really got into film out in LA, and you did film for a while out there, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. As a kid, I was just wanted to do. It was just all movies all the time.
What got you into that? What made you? Was there like a particular movie you saw that was like, oh, this is?
There were a few. I mean, there was Star Wars. You know, we all saw Star Wars. Well, we didn't all see Star Wars, but I saw Star Wars. You know, when it came out in the cinema, and it blew my tiny mind because it was like people take Star Wars for granted now, but it was like literally you had never seen anything like that before, like nothing like that before, and the way it brought together all these sort of different elements from the past and you know, synthesized all this different stuff and it done in a way that no one had ever seen it before. And I was already a little science fiction geek, and I just saw this thing and I was just like, and drool, and
like something just kind of snapped, yeah,
basically. But also before that, my parents would take me to movies all the time. So like I think I even saw I don't know if this is true or not, but I like it for its mythical purposes. That my parents took me to see 2001 in the cinema when I was like 1 or 2 or something, when I was a baby. I'd like to imagine like there was the baby. Well, there's possibly maybe a baby in that movie. I don't know, but that I had a moment with that. But
I used to say,
but there were all these movies, like there was Jaws, there was Tommy. My parents took me to see Tommy when I was a kid, which is a very seriously upsetting movie, depending on when you're. But yes, I just loved it, and then so that was the thing I wanted to do. That was it was all movies.
I remember seeing Ghostbusters in the theater. Was I think one of the first movies as a kid that I remember seeing in the movie theater, and it was just like it was mind blowing. It was like, what is happening? Like, how are they doing this? This is insane.
Yeah.
But you mentioned 2001. My parents like to tell me the story of how, as a kid, I would run around the house going, "Open the pod bay doors, Hal." I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. Like I would just say that as a kid. So evidently, I had a connection with that movie as well. But I have not seen it in, I would say, maybe 40 years.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Very quotable.
Very quotable. That very quotable 2001 Space Odyssey. And so, but you've also done stuff with the Academy, right?
So I went out to Los Angeles. I went to USC Film School. I had a really, really great time to be there. So there was like a lot of people I went to school with are like now like make all your favorite movies, and I got out of there and I was a screenwriter and still I'm a screenwriter, but I kind of got known for like writing this sort of big, large scale science fiction and kind of epic stuff. Basically, a lot of things that were like, this is great and unmakeable. What else do you have? So come back with more of this, but
so good we can't do anything.
But cheaper. wait. It's basically wait another 15 years. This thing called Netflix will come, and then we can talk. But yeah, and I also worked for the Motion Picture Academy, which was an amazing job where I got to just sit around and talk about movies all day. I worked in the photography archive. So the job was just looking at stills, sorting old movie stills.
Wow.
And getting paid to do that.
And getting paid to do it. Like that, like if anything, that like fuels you. You're like, this is
wasn't like an
amazing.
Internship.
Yeah. No, it was like and we had to go to every year we had to go to the stupid work thing called the Academy Awards. And it was like,
stupid work thing.
And we had to go to this work function. And which was amazing. So we did you get to sit like way in the very back, so you're not quite sure what.
Right.
Do you get the gift baskets?
No, we didn't get the gift baskets. No, we didn't get it.
Man.
But I was a seat filler one year, which was cool. So you get to like.
Oh, who did you get to sit next to? Did you get to sit next to anybody? Anybody cool?
I can't even remember. I think it was probably like just too anxious. But I'm sure that I was sitting next to all kinds of people, but you're just sort of like just sitting there, just going like, don't look like an idiot in case the camera's around you. But I also got to do I got to get my mom in as a seat filler one year, which was amazing. So she was actually, which was this wonderful this dream come true. She gets to like this
awesome
70-year-old woman who grew up in the an East End suburb of London, gets to go to the Academy Awards, and there's a great sort of shot that like a friend of ours sort of took this photo actually of the screen of her And because one of the cameramen must have thought that she was some, famous old actress from yesteryear and just didn't know who she was. So there's a big close up
Golden
of
age
her.
of Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. And then behind her is like Bono and Paul Simon.
But it's
like
all
my
on your
mom
mother-in-law.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
So that was cool. So, and then right after that, then it was like we had this opportunity to move to London, and my wife had gotten recruited for a job, and we were like, let's just go for it and just see how it goes. So it was really just kind of restarting coming here in London. Coming here in London. So.
Nice. So once you got to London, what was your journey like once you got there to get to kind of where you are now? Because you've got some really cool projects now. Like how did that get there?
So we showed up here in London, basically with what we had in our bags. It was like, well, we live here now, I guess.
Really,
this is what we do.
Yeah.
And we did have the cat sent over though from
good.
LA, so we had them shipped over, a couple of months later. So that was important.
But that poor cat.
We were like, "What? We live here now too." This is
the cat's like, "I'm fine in America."
Yeah, that was like this was not. So we arrived here, and then my wife, we discovered, was pregnant, so that was good times. We'd smuggled my daughter through customs for that night. And so it was like kind of just like new country, new, I'm not working, she's got a new job, new place, new child, and it was just like horror show. So
oh my God, yeah, that has to be. My wife and I just found out. We're having our first baby, and I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine like having like just moved to a new country and like starting from like now. I'm freaking out anyway. So it's like I couldn't imagine what it would be like for that.
That was exciting. But I was also had been doing journalism, so I did like film and TV journalism, film and TV tech journalism.
Mm-hmm.
And so had started doing that alongside a couple other screenwriting jobs I had, and stuff just kind of started to kind of come together. And then I had an agent here who had kind of, I guess, maybe get into the sort of project that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Who had, I was always, as I said, I was a sci-fi geek, huge sci-fi fan as a kid. And one of the, my great sort of sci-fi obsessions as a kid was Edgar Rice Burroughs, which my brother had introduced me to him. Edgar Rice Burroughs, for those who don't know, of course, is the kind of the grandfather of science fiction, who created Tarzan and John Carter of Mars, and everything kind of proceeds from that. So Flash Gordon, Star Wars, everything starts from the kind of adventure story.
I did notice your on your Twitter, your kind of banner picture on Twitter is from Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh yeah.
Which is such a. I just rewatched that. It had to have been a couple months ago. I saw it on a streaming service and was like, you know what? I watched it as a kid, but I hadn't really like watched it, and I was like, oh, this is such a fun. It's such a fun movie. It's so silly.
That's great. It's like that, and it's kind of like I always think of like kind of a companion movie to it is Big Trouble in Little China.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, another amazing
John Carpenter movie.
Yeah,
and I think there's some connection, maybe the writers or something. I don't know, but there's like this thing that's great kind of absurd vibe to it that's done in a very this kind of really tongue-in-cheek goofiness. That also kind of takes itself seriously. It's this really cool little mix. I love both those movies.
Yeah, Kurt Russell is he's so fun in that movie.
He's great.
And I think I've heard rumblings that they're remaking that movie with The Rock, which I think is which I'm like, okay, I'm okay. I mean, I don't know.
See how this goes.
We'll see how that goes. I'm a big fan of The Rock, but like I'm like, okay, it's all remakes now. There's so many remakes out there.
That sort of dry kind of underplayed sort of thing. So I could almost see that working.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see kind of how they do it. Like I don't know. It was just it was a fun movie, and I who knows? Maybe it'll be fantastic, and it might suck. Who knows?
This is what we have to. This is what we have to put up with. As I mean, to get too far off topic, but I mean, Dune is coming up, and
I was going to ask you about that.
Dune fans are freaking out.
Yeah, how do you feel about this the new Dune movie? I didn't watch never saw the first Dune movie. But I heard it's just like my friend Ben was talking. We were seeing the preview when we went and saw Shang-Chi, and it was Ben just leaned over to me and goes, "This movie's gonna be so boring. Like it's gonna be pretty, but it's gonna be so boring."
I think that's what like fans want, is like, just give me a really boring Dune movie. I want to see long speeches and just people. I want
Just
to
a lot
just
of
like
walking.
I want to see a documentary about a spaceship.
And a big giant and one big giant sandworm.
Just
only one.
That just there's a locked off shot of the sandworm for like 6 minutes. And
it's like the Star Wars. It's like the Star Wars or Spaceballs, where you see the ship just coming by for the first like 4 minutes of the movie. Yeah, exactly. It's just that it's all sandworm.
So yeah, that's it. As a fan, that's what I want to see. But I hopefully for the rest of humanity that won't happen.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, though, how do you feel about this? New...
I did a reaction video for the latest trailer. I was very cranky, and I was like, I don't know about all this. And there was, and I don't know if it was like maybe it was the Warner Brothers marketing department, but there was like this sort of long trail of like really vicious, mean, trolling about my thing. I was like, dude, I'm just reacting to this trailer.
I am one person.
This is not a big deal. But no, I'm really excited about it. It should be. I mean, he's a great director. The casting is amazing. I'm not entirely down with the gray and brown gloom. I think I'm kind of like so many sort of movies and sci-fi movies. It's that same sort of colorless sort of gloomy palette.
Yeah.
It's like, just give me some color, dude. So that feels like a bit of a cliche to me, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure it'll be pretty interesting. And I'm gonna get my tickets as soon as they're available, and I will be out there.
So did you go see movies? What was the first movie you saw coming back out of the pandemic? Or
I haven't actually been to it. I was going to go to the British Film Institute, which is kind of great place where they show a lot of classic movies and all kinds of stuff. I was going to go see The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which was just like 2 weeks ago, and I was going to take my daughter to see it because she's never seen it. It's one of my favorite movies. It's amazing. And I discovered that The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is a rated 18 movie, but basically because here they have slightly different ratings, but 18 means you can't go unless you're 18. So, and I don't know if that's
not even with
from its initial rating from maybe the 1960s or something, but so it's
not even with a parent. Like you can't even get in with an adult.
No, apparently not. So like I guess if you're an R, you can get in with your parent, right? That was or something. Is that how it works? It used to be that.
So. Yeah, I think so.
Or you just sneak in. You get two other friends. You get into a trench coat and you have one person buy
shoulders.
3 tickets.
Yeah,
Okay with them. Yeah.
Well, a couple for the Scorsese movie. Just one very tall guy for the Scorsese movie.
Yeah.
Look, I'm very tall. I'm going to need 3 seats.
We went to the feeling tired and we have to lie down.
Are you sure?
Yes. They have very short legs. So we couldn't go see that. So that was my one cinematic, planned foil there. So
did you just send her home and just like, okay, I'm
gonna
go see this movie.
No, it was like she felt like she dodged a bullet. She was like, "Oh, great! I have to go see a movie with Dad." This is. But I'm like, "No, we're gonna watch it on TV."
Yeah.
No, I can't. I'm busy tonight. I'm gonna, So she's trying to weasel out of it, but I'm not gonna let her do that.
How old is she?
So she's 14. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's a little bit long. I think that movie's maybe a little bit long for a 14-year-old who's already like not on board. You know what I mean?
It might be. Yeah. Maybe it's like it's kind of not the way to go.
Yeah. I was such I did the same when I was in. Oh, what did I do? I liked to do themed parties, and I was not my other friends were not movie nerds. And so I'd be like, oh, we're going to do this movie and I'm going to make a themed dinner. And like, you know, it's a classic movie playing and like halfway through, everyone else would be asleep.
It's like Brief Encounter, and you've done it up like a train station.
Yeah. I like put all this work in, and they're just like, it's just a fancy nap for them.
Coals before swine.
Yeah, you have to eat after the movie. You can't eat before the movie. Then yeah. King Senor in the chat says that she saw Taxi Driver when she was 12 because her parents brought her. I was like, oh, wow. That's
wow.
That's the same age as the Jodie Foster character, in that she's 12 years old in the character. That's pretty rough.
Yeah, that's super rough. To
On the other hand, my parents took me to see The Omen when I was about the same age as the kid in that movie.
Like, now pay attention, Neal. This could be you.
It was amazing. So yeah. So good on your parents for taking you to see Taxi Driver.
My dad would do this thing where he liked to watch scary movies, and he would watch like the Halloween or the Friday the 13th or whatever, and I would hide my eyes, hide behind the couch or put my hands over my eyes, and he would tell me that it was over right before it happened.
Oh no!
He'd be like, "No, it's fine. You can do," and I would be like, and then I'd be like, "Oh God, yeah."
Wow. And then did he laugh or what? Or did he?
Oh yeah, it was.
Did he apologize?
It was the funniest thing. He apologized within the last few years. So I'm fine, everybody. I'm fine.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It didn't have an effect on me
at TV
at all. Go ahead, Chloe.
I think my dad took my brother to see Terminator when my brother was still in. You can still carry him in the baby Bjorn. My dad just really wanted to see Terminator.
They can kind of do that. They probably because it's probably noisy and it's probably it probably makes you fall asleep.
Yeah.
I think the most inappropriate movie I saw as a child was Monty Python's Meaning of Life. I remember seeing that when I was maybe 10 or 11, and at one point I think we were watching it on we had a satellite dish, so we were able to get all these channels from all over the place, and it was on, and about halfway through it my mom is like, you need to watch something else. So of course it's the only thing I wanted to watch, so it's of course I found it later and I was like, oh, I get this now. This is a lot for a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your current stuff. You have a back in 2016, right? You did a comic book or a graphic novel. Talk to us about that, because it is super. It looks really, really badass.
Oh, thanks. So that is it's Boudica is the title of it.
Boudica, and I've got the front of it here.
It's about Boudica, who was a Celtic queen, Celtic warrior queen, who led a revolt against the Romans in Britain, in Roman-occupied Britain. There's a big statue of her outside the Houses of Parliament, if you've ever been to London and seen that. But yeah, she's she's kind of, people talk about her as being the first queen of Britain in a way. She wasn't really. She was the queen of this one of these Celtic tribes, which there were a bunch of them kind of all over Britain. And the Romans came in and set her and her husband up, a really cushy gig as a client queen. Then broke all their promises, took all her stuff once her husband had died, and then she led a revolt against the Romans. Hideously bloody revolt, and almost succeeded throwing the Romans out of Britain, which if she had, the whole world history would have changed completely, because the Romans never would have gotten back into Britain. This is really cool, kind of a lot of sword fighting, a little bit of Celtic mysticism, and a lot of.
Yeah, you say you're big into, you like sword fighting. You mentioned that.
Well,
you do love some good sword fighting.
I like these big sort of epic stories where you can kind of create a world and really get immersed in it. So this was like, as I was kind of joking earlier, this was based on a screenplay that I had written quite a long time ago. It was one of the first things I'd written. That was like, I'd taken around town or taken around LA, and people were like, "It's great, love this thing," but it's just, we've got a female main character here, which is not so great. We don't like that. And that's not going to wash in Pomona.
Right.
And it's just too big, too expensive.
Yeah,
so,
I've got this other picture here that you sent. This was one of my, when you sent this, I was like, oh, this is so like just badass. It's definitely, I can see that this would be an amazing film.
Yeah.
Well, the artist is a Swedish artist, Johan Swartz, who is dynamite, and he just loved all this detail and stuff. And I was like, I think this is good enough. And he's like, no, we have to do more. And he really loved to like just get into the rendering and on all the detail of everything, which is great. So you can really you spend a lot of time on those pages. You can really just kind of, which was a thing that I hadn't really learned. I'd been kind of trained to be a screenwriter and to think in terms of movies. And so I was like, all right, let's get this thing going. And this idea of of thinking in a linear thing, like music or a movie, but with a comic, you're outside of time. You can actually spend a long time stopping and moving around inside that page and looking at things in that page. Which I couldn't quite get the hang of. I was like, no, just get the story going. And he was great with that. So each one of those pages is really kind of gives you time to just kind of disappear into that world.
Yeah, that seems that there's a lot in there. And you did this, you wrote this back in like 2016. Yeah, is that
it was a couple of years, but I mean it has a couple of years before that, kind of actually doing the book. But yeah, it was out in 26. It was out in 2017, I think.
Got it. And you were saying before the show that you did a lot of this over Zoom.
Yeah. So it was actually even Skype. It was before Zoom became such a hot thing. I pitched the comic to Marcosia Comics, who's a kind of British indie. Marcosia is like the Harry Marcos, the guy who owns the company. He's kind of like the British George, not George Romero, who's the guy who did all those movies in the 70s that everybody worked for. What's his name? Roger Corman.
Oh, okay. So nice.
There's like kind of everybody has passed through Marcosia's doors at some point, which is really cool. So he's like, his whole thing is like incubating talent and all that thing. And this was my first graphic novel. So he's like, I know the artist for this. You should hook up this guy in Sweden, Johan Swartz. And so I started to talk with Johan over Skype. And we just started sending stuff back and forth and talking and putting it together. And we only met in person twice. One time he was on a trip over here to London. We had a little afternoon together. And then another time, I think he was traveling through here, and we met up for a coffee or something. But the rest of it was just all done virtually.
Wow.
Oh, that's really cool. But I mean, with something like this,
future.
I know, right? This was training for the pandemic. You're like, oh, I know how to work online.
Fine.
I've done this before. So did are you going to do another have you done any other graphic novels? Or are you looking to
there's a couple. I have a few ideas and a few pitches out there, but I just need to kind of follow up on some stuff. There are a few kind of big stories that I want to do as comics. There's also a climate change comic that I'm kind of working on that I like to do.
Oh, cool.
That's more just kind of like a nonfiction, the end of the world and you kind of the thing that I'm sort of working on. But yeah, there are a few other kind of comic things, and also I've been working in publishing for a while, doing one of my other jobs, my day job now, which is an editor of a technology magazine. And I'm looking at taking the publishing expertise that I've built up and actually starting my own press and kind of just publishing stuff I like and the people I like and just kind of getting, doing some cool stuff.
I love that when you get to a certain point where you're just like, you know what? I can do this now. Like I don't need
Yeah.
I don't need the other people. But in that way, right? So you're like, not that you want to work by yourself, but you want to work with the people that you want to work with.
Yeah, but it's also just becoming very, very old, and thinking, I kind of feel like sometimes it's just just want to. It sounds slightly corny, but just kind of contribute or to be a producer of something rather than just working for people and taking stuff. It's like, I have skills and stuff that I can use to kind of help out other people I know. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And you've got a book coming out, right? This Christmas.
Yes, exactly. So it's available for pre-order now, and it's called Skies of Venus.
And we've got the cover here. I'm going to pop it up here.
Oh, yeah, and so I had mentioned, I think earlier when I was kind of going off my tangent about Edgar Rice Burroughs. So Edgar Rice Burroughs, I had talked to my agent here about. I had this idea for an Edgar Rice Burroughs book. Like, would it be possible to do a kind of a book? Like, isn't that stuff all in the public domain now? Can you do something like? I was thinking specifically around his John Carter of Mars books. Maybe that there'd be a new book or something you could write. And this was kind of just before the John Carter of Mars movie came out,
which did not do well.
No,
it was a movie that happened.
It's a much better movie than people give it credit for. It's not the perfect movie, but it's perfectly fine.
I mean, Taylor Riggs. I'm a Riggs guy. Like Friday Night Lights. I'm not Riggs. Is it Riggins? I'm sorry. I'm tangent into a football show. I don't know.
Right.
The guy that played John Carter.
Oh yeah,
was
Taylor Swift now.
Kitsch. Taylor Kitsch. This is going to be the rest of the show. It's just us trying to figure it out.
Taylor, I don't know. That guy.
Taylor.
So Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah.
Taylor Kitsch is his name. And no, but I was talking to my agent. He was like, strangely enough, I'm actually representing the Burroughs estate for this thing. Do you want to talk to them? And I'm like, well, okay, let's go. So so I talked to them and they said, well, Disney is doing this John Carter movie, but there's this whole Venus series that Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote, and he did all these kind of they call kind of sword and planet books. So it's there's kind of Mars and there's Venus and stuff, and a lot of them are kind of the same types of things. They're kind of like adventures with these big characters, and there's always a really kind of clever princess, and they're all kind of like the really precursors to Star Wars, basically. And there was, there's always sometimes a slight political thing that was something relevant at the time in the 1920s, 30s and stuff. So I was like, I'd read these Venus books as well when I was a kid, and I was like, sign me up. So we started working on it, and so this is a new book in his Venus series, which are Pirates of Venus, Lost on Venus, Carson of Venus, Escape on Venus. I think Venus.
Wait, Tarzan went to Venus?
No, Carson.
Oh, I thought you said Tarzan of Venus. I was like,
however,
I would look at that.
Well, this is the thing, is that he actually did in his books, he did start these kind of crossovers. So Tarzan does go to some of the other worlds, and and so what the Burroughs estate has started to do is started their own publishing house where they're republishing a lot of the classic books with these great new illustrations and really cool collector's editions. And then also commissioning some of these new books. And some of them are crossovers where like Tarzan does something or other. There's like a Tarzan crossover with one. And so the one I've done is it kind of introduces a new character into this world. And it's, the planet Venus, or now, of course, we know a lot more about the planet Venus than they did back then. So I've done a few things to it to kind of make it more, to make it I would say scientifically accurate, but for it to make sense. I have like a 20th century character kind of entering this 1930s sci-fi world. So
that's really cool.
It's this kind of petty criminal who's on death row, and he's got nothing going on. And obviously you're on death row, you got nothing going on.
Yeah.
But he's
not busy.
You're not busy.
You're not
he's sort of in a kind of mystical way, I guess you could say. He's sort of pulled out of that and brought to this world, Venus, or Amtor.
Oh, cool.
It's called Amtor. And he's like, all right, I'll do this. What's going on? And so he's kind of entered into this I guess a Flash Gordon might be an analog that people might also relate to, but it's this very much this this world of different creatures and a kind of a 1930s aesthetic.
That sounds really, really cool.
It's a lot of airships and birdmen, you know, and sword fighting and ray guns.
So, I mean, sword fighting and ray guns. It should be. I don't know. Maybe the name of your biography.
It's not a need for a good adventure.
It's. I mean,
or maybe it'll be the restaurant I open up.
Oh man, I loved the Hawkmen in Flash Gordon. Like that was the
Hawkmen in Flash Gordon. They're actually inspired by the Birdmen from these Venus books. So that's
really
where that comes from. So it's interesting to sort of see that kind of the lineage of where these ideas come from. So Flash Gordon was kind of just slightly, maybe like 5 or 10 years after the first Venus books, Edgar Burroughs, I want to say. But it's kind of that, you know, these books are all the things that, and there's also a lot of stuff in Avatar that's actually comes from this too. So one of the things on Venus are these gigantic trees. So these mile-high trees with their cities and stuff in. And then that's a thing, you know, that I mean, although it's kind of it's a kind of a common idea, I suppose, but in the sort of sci-fi history, that's kind of started with Edgar Burroughs doing stuff in the Venus books.
I'm really excited to see what's the guy's name that did Thor Ragnarok, and he's doing the new Thor movie.
Taika Waititi.
What was it?
Yeah. Taika Waititi.
Yes, he's doing a live action. Like it's just come out that I think it's going to be a live action Thor or Flash Gordon remake.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, which I am like way more excited about than I really have any right to be. Like that's just going to be the most amazing. Fun, because that's just that whole Flash Gordon is just fun.
It's also which is what I try to do in the book, and also what I think he would do is that there's a certain there you have to have a certain reverence for the material as well, because it's that which again, coming back to Star Wars, is what Star Wars did. It's like takes this kind of thing of all this different soup of stuff that could be silly, but at the center of it takes itself seriously, or takes itself seriously enough, and takes the audience seriously enough to do it properly and respectfully. So if you kind of get that balance, and obviously he's perfect for that. You know, you had this great, you know, could have this great thing.
Oh
yeah,
man.
I mean, like that's why I loved Thor Ragnarok so much, is because it had like Thor is a ridiculous character, and I think the first two movies
took themselves way too seriously.
It was silly, but they were making it more serious. Like they were taking it very, very seriously, and like Chris Hemsworth is very funny, and so like letting his personality out is also key to that. But like, you know, recognizing that it's a ridiculous character, but then also like having the emotional core there of like, you know, his identity changing, and like he lost his hammer, and like, you know, how that must feel, right? And I mean, like, one of my favorite parts of that movie is when the rock guy is like, it's almost like this hammer was part of your life, and it was a good friend to you. Yeah,
they really added. He really added a good sense of humor to it. Now, Neal, you said you're a recent convert to the MCU movies. What did it for you? What was?
I don't know. What was it? It might have been. It was a pretty late convert. It might have been Black Panther. I don't know if I saw anyone before Black Panther. I might have.
Was a good one.
My daughter would have them on, you know, and I would go, yeah. Okay. But I think Black Panther was one of the ones that I kind of said, all right, let's see what this is all about. Kind of was like, oh, this kicks ass.
Yeah, that was a good one to start on. I just recently rewatched.
And then all the Avengers, you know, after that, and it was like, I was like completely on board. But I was very cynical about. I was like, this comic exploitation.
Well, it's easy to do when it's an art form that you're very involved in, right? You're like, oh, this is like you're a writer. You've done the graphic novel. You're like it's something you're into. So it's like. When it's that huge, right, and that popular, you're like, okay, something's got to be
Yeah, just a sort of contrary old
Yeah.
bastard. Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. The first step is understanding
It's
that
Yeah.
is recognizing.
And just being like, just let it come and let it go. But yeah, I think they're great. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got the book. It comes out in December. Pre-order. Where's the best place to go for people to pre-order that
So
book?
the best place to go is to go to the link on the Edgar Rice Burroughs website. So if you go to edgarriceburroughs.com, which is a bit of a mouthful, but edgarriceburroughs.com.
Oh, there it is, right there.
It should be, I don't know if it's on the homepage or not, but there will be a link there that you can order.
It is.
Also,
put it
you
in
can
the chat right now.
Oh, great! And you can also go just to my Twitter. It's on my my
Link is right there in the
Twitter
bio.
page. Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. So one of the segments we like to do on this show is a little bit of a like what you watching, what you reading, what kind of media are you consuming right now? Is there anything that's out now that you're excited about, or something? I mean, obviously you're very excited about your book coming out, and we, and,
Yes, I'm very excited about that.
but are there any like shows or other things coming out that you're like, oh, I'm excited to read this, or I'm excited to see this?
That stuff that's coming up, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's Dune, obviously. There's
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've got a huge backlog of things that I have to get to. So that's kind of where I am now with that.
Yeah.
I think it's probably just Dune in terms of things that are coming up.
Right. What are you watching currently? Like, what are your shows things?
I'm watching. One thing I've started watching is season 2 of Black Summer, which is great. Okay, Black Summer is dynamite. I don't know if you're a zombies fan, but I love me some zombies. So Black Summer is, and I can't think of the name of it. I think it's a spin-off from another zombie show. But it's just really beautifully directed, very tense, very matter of fact. You're just sort of dropped into the middle of this sort of zombie world, and it's like, okay, go, and you're just trying to figure out kind of what's going on. And a lot of the direction is single shots. So these really, really long takes of, just kind of moving around, following people through, wastelands and, into cars, out of cars, like really, really beautifully done.
Now, are these fast zombies, or are they shambling zombies?
These are more like the fast, crazy zombies.
Ooh, those are the most terrifying zombies of all. Those.
These
are the fast zombies. And so that's really good. So I've just started the second season of that, which is really grim and depressing. Really depressing. Yeah, it's just, or the zombies are bad, but the humans are even worse.
I mean, that's what that's pretty much that's a staple of zombie stuff. Like I got that's when I kind of fell off of Walking Dead, where I'm just like, oh God, the people are worse than the zombies.
I know. Makes you think.
It does. It does. It's almost like they're trying to make a point.
Yeah. Anyway. So that reading. Oh, I'm reading Van Gogh's Diaries. So it's like kind of not diaries, letters. Sorry, it's letters to Theo. So there's like a kind of Penguin Classics kind of condensed version or selected letters of his, which is amazing. So just in terms of like sort of seeing the artistic process and kind of spiritual life and this whole crazy bunch of stuff that's sort of compacted into his life. So I've been kind of reading. I'm halfway through reading that.
Oh, very cool.
Also, I'm really getting into like reaction videos for movies. This is amazing. And
then trolling the people by making like a lot of different
horrible, cranky comments.
Yeah,
no, it's worse. I'm like kind of like a sort of irritating grandmother. I'm like, oh, you should watch. And I'm like give them a long list of movies that they should be watching.
You should do reaction videos to reaction videos. Like you can do those like side by side. I mean, we can get real meta with this and just be like, oh, do you think this? You should do this, and this.
Yeah, but there's probably somebody who's done that,
But maybe not.
Maybe this is I got to put this on my thing.
Yeah,
I do have a lot of things going on. I wanted to talk. I feel like we're almost up, but I wanted to talk about ADHD because I know Chloe has brought that up in past episodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because I've got so many things going on, it's
Yeah,
got a lot happening.
I'm just gonna put that on this list. I know. I'll add that to the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just sticking to Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
I watched there's Katiosaurus is an ADHD TikToker, and she had a video that came out recently that was talking about how like people with ADHD they tend to be very good at things and pick things up quickly because they like do so many different things. And she was basically being like, it sucks to be so good at everything because then you're like, I can do everything, so I'm not going to ask for help because I could probably do it better than the person I'm asking to help me. And I was like, it feels wrong to say, but it's not incorrect.
Well, and if you ask somebody for help, you might start getting onto their timeline, and that's not going to work out.
Oh no, can't do that. Nope, I gotta have my own weird timeline where I just do like 4 straight hours of something and then don't pick it up for 2 more weeks and then do 5 more hours after that.
Yeah, no, I haven't been diagnosed with ADHD, but I was talking to a friend of mine who has, and it's it's all there.
It's all coming together. Yeah,
all the signs are there.
The last 40 years of my life is suddenly crystallizing.
Makes sense. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about it too, is that like it is hard for if you are successful at school or at work, it tends to go undiagnosed because like you're good at stuff and you're coping and you like seem like a normal person, but on the inside you're like, well, everything seems harder than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll work on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the similar. I might have, I don't know. I've never been diagnosed with anything, but yeah, there are times when I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do this for a bit. I'm going to start something and then never finish it.
Never finish. Yeah, you have to like trick yourself into being productive. You have to put a lot more energy into like accomplishing something because it's physically painful to make yourself do something you're not interested in.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of timers going on. I'm hooked up with a person now who's like, it's actually kind of just doing 15 minutes a day of writing because we're looking to get on this writing thing, the two of us, and it's like just 15 minutes. It's just what we're doing. It's like I can't not do 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I can't go, I don't have time for 15 minutes. So that's like, if I chunk things into these really tiny bits, then that means like, okay, I can do that.
Right.
You
gotta find
like stringing those together, and it seems to work.
Yeah, if you, and that's one of the things of like if you put something into a smaller chunk, it's like it appears less overwhelming, and so you're like, I'm just gonna do this for 5 minutes, and then like you get started, and you're like, well, I could do more.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
Yeah.
I love the concept of I'm going to make myself do this for 15 minutes because you 100% have 15 minutes in the day, to do something.
Or also often it's just like make yourself just sit down. It's like I could just like you don't have to do anything. Don't do anything. Just sit down. Just sit down and jump. I don't want to do this. No, you don't have to do anything. You just sit. Yeah.
And then I'm really good at that one. I'm really good at that's sitting down. I'm like, you know what? I'm into this now. I'm going to sit for another 4 hours, and then it's bedtime.
It's going very well.
Oh man, I did a lot of that today.
Yeah. Excellent. Good.
Time to go lay down. Well, Neal, thank you so much for coming onto the show and sticking around and chatting for
it's great. Thank you so much.
Way longer than I told you we would. Check out Neal's Twitter, Rabbit and Crow, and also links are in the chat to pre-order Skies of Venus, which looks dope. And honestly, I cannot wait to check out. How does it pronounced again? Boudica.
Boudica. Mm-hmm.
Boudica, because that graphic novel just looks unbelievable. It looks
so
really, really cool. So thank you so much, Neal, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, and you guys too.
Yeah. Talk to you soon.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much for having me. Bye.
Oh, fantastic.
So cool.
So, I mean, thank you to Rachel for just booking amazing people on our show.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely check out all of Neal's stoof.
It's so funny because I had no idea who Boudica was, and I just got finished with the Andrea Vernon novels, or the Andrea Vernon, yeah, they're novels. Because I've been doing because of my concussion, I've been trying to do non-screen time stuff. So I've been doing a lot of audiobooks and cross stitching.
Yeah, we should talk about your cross stitching before we
talk about it in a second. But so in one of the books, it's a trilogy, and in one of the books, they open up so it's like superheroes from the corporate perspective, right? So Andrea Vernon is an administrative assistant that works for the Corporation for Ultrahuman Protection.
Okay.
And so instead of superheroes like doing their own thing or like contracting with the government, they've been privatized, and then they have contracts with local government to protect different areas.
Okay.
And they open up a European division, and one of the superheroes from Europe is called Bad Boudica.
Oh.
And I did not understand the reference at all.
Until now.
Until just now.
Yay. You were today years old when you found that out.
I was today years old. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent books. They're very funny. Highly recommend. I like cruise, and I did the audiobooks. I think they're about 9 hours each.
Okay.
And I put them on like 1.2 or 1.3 speed.
So you listen to it faster?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, going back to the ADHD, my brain goes a little bit
Okay,
back.
yeah.
Like, if I put it on normal speed, I'm like, why are they reading so slowly? What is this in slow mo? Is time slowing down? Like, what's happening here? But I'm looking at the actually, I just started Shadow and Bone. But I'm also looking at the Wheel of Time series and the Stormlight
Right, because that's coming out on. They're doing a show on that on Amazon.
It's 14 books.
Yeah,
14.
There's
books.
a lot
the
of.
First book is 30 hours.
Jesus. Yeah, I'm going through the Jim Butcher. I'm listening to the Jim Butcher, Harry Dresden, the Dresden Files. Where he's like the only wizard in the phone book in Chicago. It's Chicago, so it's like this noir kind of thing, which is really. I read the first 3, and I just got the 4th one on Audible. But I don't know. I have a hard time listening to audio. Like they're entertaining. I enjoy, but like I'll zone out.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, what are they like? And then I'm like, oh. I missed a chunk or I missed a thing. I don't know.
Well, that's why. I mean, that's part of why. So I'll listen to them when I'm going on walks. Sometimes in the car, but mostly when I'm going on walks, and then like having a dedicated activity. So, like doing cross stitching while I'm listening. Like,
right.
Like I can't listen unless I have something to do with my hands, I guess.
Right. No, that makes sense. Well, speaking of things that you do with your hands, show us this. You recently finished one of your cross stitching. Oh wait,
yes.
Wait, hold on.
Crafting
with Chloe. Once again, made by Mike.
Mike,
come back. Mike, we miss you.
We gotta make a reel of when he pops in and just play like Sarah McLachlan over it, you know?
Yes, let's. Yeah, I love that.
Anyway,
I love that.
Okay, so I ordered. So you can get cross stitch patterns off of Etsy. You can just download a digital file, and they're like $4 or $5 a pop. It's really easy.
Oh.
But I have not done. I think maybe I've done cross stitch before when I was like a kid. But it's been long enough that I like didn't remember any of it, and so I don't have any of the supplies or anything. So I just ordered a kit, and this kit is it has 4 cross stitch patterns, and it gives you all the thread and the hoops and everything of 4 of the animals from the Avatar: Last Airbender universe.
Which, if you watch the show, you know that Chloe is obsessed with Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's her favorite thing ever. When Neal mentioned Avatar earlier, I saw your eyes light up a little bit, but I was like, he's not talking about.
I was like, wait, which one though?
Yeah, you're like, wait, which one? And you're like, oh, that one.
It's like, hold on a second.
We
have to talk about the Midwest, about ADHD, and Avatar. Like that's all. All
checks all your boxes.
The boxes for me. So I finished the first one, and so like again, ADHD. Like I get a hyperfixation. I'll start something and be really obsessed with it, and like lose time when I'm doing it. Like I'll be working on something, and then suddenly an hour has gone by. So that's what happened with I did my first one. This took me 3 days of cross stitching, and this is Naga, the polar bear dog.
Oh, polar bear dog.
Yeah, this from Legend of Korra, and Korra, like, this is her animal companion, and she rides Naga into battle and whatnot.
Well, yeah, I would ride a polar bear dog into battle.
Hex yeah. But yeah, and so you can see it's like this grid pattern.
Yeah. So yeah, explain to me how it. I mean, explain to me how it works, because I don't know that I.
Yeah, so you get the fabric hat is this.
Sorry, real quick. TVD. I've watched like 3 or 4 episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I have not finished it. So yes, I have made it through 2020 and most of 2021 without watching it. That being said, it's not bad. I'm watching so many other things. Like I'm trying to get all the way through Downton Abbey right now, and that's a lot. Those are long
content.
I was up late last night because I was like, I started an episode way too late, and I was like, well, I'm not going to bed until I finish it because I have to know what is happening with Bates. And
what's Bates doing?
Oh man, Bates is not in a good place right now. I'm in the 4th season, and poor sweet Bates. Sorry, continue.
Anyway, okay, so it's a grid system, and so you'll get a pattern. Like this. So you have the black and white one which just has the letters, and then the letters correspond to the different colors, but you can also they also have the color version of that. And this is Pabu. In the series he's a fire ferret, but he's basically a red panda.
I like fire ferret.
Yes.
So do you have to do like one color, like, and then like switch threads, or like? Basically,
yeah. So I have this guy right here.
Okay.
And so right now I'm working on this guy right here, the little piece of his ear. And let's go. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna make sure I'm in the right spot here. We're gonna move over to. So you basically just follow the grid. So, and you go here, and then you go across, and so you make a diagonal.
Okay. Hence the cross stitch.
Yeah, you go across the whole row that way. So you're basically working sort of like straight over and straight back. So I'm just gonna do 2 stitches, so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. But
I think this is you should just do a stream, Chloe, where it's just you doing
me cross stitching.
Cross stitching, like you do a top down. I love this idea. I'd watch that.
Yeah. So you go all the way across this way, but we've got these diagonal guys here, and then once you're done with the row, you come back through, and you're making an X across there. So basically the X like covers the whole square. And go through here.
Well, damn it, now I want to do cross-stitching.
And I go... Oh, come here. There we go. And then you go back across, and then you have two little X's there.
Okay, and then you have to...
It's pretty cool because... Yeah, and then once you're... you do that whole section of color, and then you, like, tuck the string in the back, and you clip it, and then you move on to another section. And so I keep mine really nice and neat. But like you see, instead of like tying knots or anything, you just like tuck the end of the string under the other threads in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And cross stitch is really great because it looks really cool and it looks really intricate. But it's not like, and there are obviously more complex patterns and stuff. But it's actually like fairly easy to do, and it's a really nice thing to like just have something to do with your hands and to be able to like make something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really satisfying to like finish a section.
Okay.
So.
All right, Chloe has made the case for cross stitch. The cross stitch case.
Yeah. Because you only have to know, it's like, with knitting and crocheting and stuff, you have to know different kinds of stitches.
Mm-hmm.
Cross stitch, there's only one. It's the cross stitch.
It's the cross stitch. Yeah, I mean it's pretty basic.
Yeah. That's super fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, Chloe. And yes, I guess you were asked if you do commissions, and I guess the answer to that is maybe.
I do now.
Fine, we'll all cross stitch, Chloe. Well, look at people.
Welcome to the team.
People popping in here towards the end of the show.
I thought, just burn them, please.
Yeah,
put them in a fire.
Knitting is for losers. I'm just kidding. Knitting is amazing.
Knitting's also amazing.
I love knitted hats.
I did get a pattern for a hat, so I'm gonna try and knit that, but it's gonna be. I think it's way more difficult than I accounted for.
It's going to be a long and arduous road. Slow going.
Yeah, it's a long winter, whatever.
Yeah.
TV D actually messaged me and asked me if I take commissions, which I guess I do now. And I'm going to make him a hungry, hungry caterpillar.
Aw.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, that's our show. Thanks for watching. Let's see. Tonight on 2MB, we've got the Level Down Boys are back. They're going to be, I believe David and Ryan are going to be playing Portal 2.
Ooh, that should be great fun.
That should be great fun. Portal is one of those games that, is a sassy game, and it drives you bonkers because, it's one of those puzzle games that's just really hard. And I mean, I'm just really bad at video games. And then after that, tonight at midnight. So tonight or Saturday midnight, Saturday midnight. Yeah. It's the Midnight Creep Out with Creep Mistress Jess and Ben are going to be on. And tonight they're talking about the Sasquatch.
Okay. That's something I could actually watch. That doesn't sound as scary.
Right. I'm a big Harry and the Hendersons fan, so I'm hoping they just talk about the movie Harry and the Hendersons for the whole show, but probably not. So tune in. Let's see. Level Down is at 6:30, and then the Midnight Creep Out is, you guessed it, at midnight. hopefully you'll come back and watch that. If you haven't already, follow, and if you really want to subscribe, it's September. So all the subscriptions on Twitch are cheaper. So now, if you haven't subscribed yet to 2MP, now's a good opportunity. Also, it's the first of the month. If you haven't re-upped your Amazon, if you have Amazon Prime, you actually get a free subscription that you can gift to the channel of your choosing. I have, let's see, I just re-upped mine right before the show. And it tells you how long you've done it. I'm officially at a year of subscription, which is awesome.
Wow.
Which is really fun. So you can give us those Bezos bucks if you'd like. We promise not to use them to go to space. Yeah,
we promise.
We promise.
I don't want to go to space. I'll be honest.
No desire to go to space. To be complete. Yeah.
Scary up there.
Oh, thank you, TVAD. Yeah, it's my subiversary. I don't know that that's a thing, but it is. I mean, it's a word that I said.
It's a word that we said. Now we can't take it back.
And now we can't take it back because now it's on the internet forever. And we're back. Hi, Sans Double C. He's coming in to say hi right as we're saying bye. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate you. We'll be back next Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Chloe, do you have any words of wisdom you'd like to leave the people with today?
Oh, yeah. Get outside. Because soon you won't want to go outside. And if you're like me, you gotta spend as much time in the sun as possible so you can extend your tan so you don't look like a sickly ghost in December.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh, goodbye, world.